The man kissed her before the door even closed. That was the first thing. Not a hug, not a nervous glance, a full kiss, right in the entryway, like it was his house, like he'd done it a dozen times before. Thomas watched from his office upstairs, still in his work-from-home headset, still mid-email. He didn't blink. He just leaned forward, index finger frozen on the pause button. The footage wasn't grainy or unclear, no ambiguity. The man was younger, tall, athletic in that personal trainer sort of way. His face was turned just enough toward the camera to be unmistakable. Then Carla walked in laughing. That laugh. That same damn laugh she gave him when she said she forgot to reply to his texts. That same tone she used when she said she'd be in Austin for a leadership summit. That same laugh when she left their shared Google Calendar blank. Too many things changing last minute. Thomas muted the feed, not out of shock, out of preservation. Something in his chest felt like it cracked, not snapped, not exploded, just quietly shifted into something colder. He didn't scream, didn't stand, didn't even curse. He just clicked Save Clip, created a folder on his encrypted drive labeled Personal, Cameras, Archives, Week 36. He made sure to label the clip with a timestamp. He'd always been meticulous. Carla teased him for that, called him her spreadsheet husband. She never once thought those spreadsheets might turn on her. He stayed upstairs until the footage ended, until the man, wearing Thomas's hoodie by the way, left through the back door. Carla stayed behind for 20 more minutes, face buried in her phone. He watched her open the fridge, drink from the milk carton, and lie on the couch with her shoes still on. She texted someone, then smiled at her screen. He didn't need to check who. He already knew. And here's the part that matters. He didn't tell her he saw. Not that night, not the next, and not the one after that. Because Thomas, the boring one, the nice one, understood something most people never do. There's more power in patience than in panic. By the way, if you've made it this far and you're listening without subscribing, don't be that person. Seriously, over 97% of you haven't clicked subscribe yet, and it's what fuels our team to keep bringing you stories like this. One tap makes a massive difference. Okay, back to Thomas. He cooked dinner that night like nothing happened. Chicken piccata, her favorite. Carla came home around 8:15, said her flight was delayed, said the airport was a mess, said her manager was in a bad mood, said everything except the truth. Thomas asked if she wanted more capers in her sauce. She said sure. They sat at the dining table. Her phone buzzed twice. She flipped it over face down. He smiled. Tough day? She sighed. You have no idea. He nodded slowly, folding a napkin beside his plate. I imagine the hotel staff weren't too friendly either. She looked up for a second, puzzled, but not long enough to catch the bait. No, not really, she said. Why? Thomas just shrugged. No reason. Just seems like travel wears you out more lately. He poured her more wine. By midnight, she was asleep on the couch with her laptop open and Slack still pinging her. He took her phone, not to snoop. He didn't need more proof. He just silenced it. The guy's name, if he needed it, was already logged, visible in the reflection of her sunglasses in last week's doorbell footage. The camera caught more than faces. It caught fragments. Fragments most people never think to check, like screen reflections, jacket patches, even what hand a person uses to punch in the keypad. Thomas noticed it all. The next morning, Carla left early for a team huddle, kissed him on the cheek like always. Thomas cleaned the kitchen, took the trash out, and drove to the local print shop. He wasn't printing divorce papers, not yet. He was printing invitations, just a small dinner, a little family get-together, something warm, familiar, intimate, the kind of thing a good son-in-law would do. The third time he replayed the footage, he started noticing the little things, not the kiss, he'd seen that, not the hand on her lower back, not the way she kicked off her heels at the door like she lived in a parallel reality. No, Thomas was watching her eyes, how she looked at the man when she laughed. That specific lean of the head, the one she used to give Thomas when they were still dating, back when she thought his old truck was charming and not embarrassing. The man was holding something in his left hand, a silver bracelet, one Thomas didn't recognize. He rewound again. She'd handed it to him from the hallway table. Her good luck charm, she used to call it, wore it on job interviews. Apparently it was good luck for other purposes too. Thomas muted the audio, not because he couldn't bear to hear it, because he didn't need to. He already knew what was being said. It was written in body language, in the lazy way she dragged her fingers along the banister as she walked upstairs, like a woman in her own home, which, technically, she was. That was going to change. He saved the clip to 2 different drives, one encrypted locally, the other on a hidden cloud account under a different name. Then he disabled app notifications, carefully, subtly. If she noticed one little change in the app interface, she might start asking questions. Thomas didn't want questions. He wanted silence, time, space to think. He deleted the app entirely from the home screen, hid it in a folder inside a folder inside a folder labeled Work Budget. Carla never touched budgeting files. She thought they were boring. Dinner was roast chicken that night. She complimented the seasoning, said it reminded her of the place they ate at on their honeymoon. He smiled and asked if she wanted more potatoes. Flight was hell, she said between bites. We sat on the tarmac for 45 minutes. I thought I was going to miss my meeting. Didn't? He asked. No, made it just in time. Client was a jerk, though, some hedge fund guy. Thought he was God's gift. Thomas wiped his mouth. Sounds exhausting. She nodded. You have no idea. Oh, but he did. After dinner, she showered, poured herself a glass of red, and curled up on the couch with her tablet. Thomas did the dishes, watched the water swirl around the drain. She laughed at something she was watching, some new streaming show about con artists. Fitting. That night, Thomas lay beside her in bed. She fell asleep fast, as usual. She never had trouble sleeping. He lay awake, not restless, just thinking. Not about revenge, not yet. About logistics. He opened his laptop, headphones in, accessed the old external drive he hadn't used in over a year, the one labeled Trust Docs. Inside was a spreadsheet he hadn't looked at since their 3rd anniversary. It detailed every account, every login, every piece of insurance, every shared asset, every title and deed. She never once asked to see it. Said, "That's your thing." It was. And now it was going to be her problem. The next day she left early, said she had a branding strategy session. He waved her off from the porch like always. She didn't see him flip the security system back into manual override. Didn't know the camera facing the staircase was now set to trigger on heat signature, not motion. He spent the morning at his desk, rearranging folder permissions, consolidating backups. He called a locksmith but said nothing about changing locks. Yet. He wanted to see how long she'd keep lying before she noticed anything was different, before the new keycard codes failed, before the garage button stopped responding. He had time. After all, she said she'd be gone all week. At lunch, he rewatched the footage again, this time noticing something else. The man walked in like he knew exactly where the shoe rack was. Didn't glance around. Didn't hesitate. Thomas checked the timestamp again. That meant it wasn't the first time, and if it wasn't the first time, he clicked back through the archive. 2 weeks ago, 3, 5, different outfits, different days, same man, same key, same smile on Carla's face. He started organizing the footage chronologically, marked each one with a title, Friday_black_jacket, Tuesday_coffee_mug, Sunday_sofa_laugh. He started building a case, not for court, not for police, for clarity. He wasn't trying to catch her, he already had. He was trying to understand when exactly she stopped being his wife, and when he started becoming someone else entirely. He started prepping 2 days in advance, not because it was a particularly special dinner, but because appearances mattered, and Carla's family adored appearances. Her mother had a thing about clutter. Her sisters would absolutely notice if the baseboards hadn't been dusted, and her father? He'd quietly tally every flaw like it was a moral failing, so Thomas made sure there weren't any. He rented a carpet cleaner, took down the chandelier crystals and hand-washed each one, wiped every vent cover with a toothbrush. Carla came home late that night, kicked off her heels by the front door and walked past the sparkling floors without comment. "Something die in here?" she asked. "Smells like vinegar." "It's lemon," he replied. "I mopped." She didn't look up, just scrolled her phone as she walked to the fridge and took the last mineral water, left the empty box behind like a calling card. Thomas wiped the handle after she walked off, not out of spite, habit. The next morning, he sent the texts. "Hey, thought it might be nice to have a small dinner here this Friday. Just family. Nothing fancy, just reconnecting a bit." Her mother replied first, a string of heart emojis. Then, "Thomas, you're the sweetest. Can I bring dessert?" Her younger sister followed with, "I'll bring that wine Dad loves. The Spanish one." Even her father responded, "Looking forward. Appreciate you." He smiled. Genuine almost. If only they knew. When Carla woke up around 10, her usual work-from-home Fridays now apparently optional, she was already dressed in gym gear. "Why are you cleaning again? Did something spill?" "I invited your family for dinner," Thomas said, casually flipping pancakes. She froze mid-sip of her protein shake. You what? Just your parents and sisters. Figured it's been a while. She narrowed her eyes. Why? Thomas shrugged. Because I like them? She leaned against the fridge, arms crossed. You've never organized something like this before? He smiled at her. I guess I'm just evolving. She squinted, almost suspicious, but then her phone buzzed, and she checked out of the conversation entirely. Can't promise I'll be back on time. Full day of meetings, might even go late. Of course, he said. Just text me. That night, Thomas laid out the tableware with surgeon precision, polished every fork, centered every napkin. The dining room glowed, candlelight level cozy, no clutter, music cued. He even pulled out the family album Carla's mother adored, left it open to a page showing their last beach trip. The guest list was small, intimate, strategic. He put the wine in the decanter exactly 30 minutes before arrival. Carla was still upstairs getting ready. Not for dinner, for her strategy session. She emerged in a navy blazer, hair pinned back, perfume expensive enough to offend. You're really going all out, huh? She said, slipping on her heels. Little over the top for a family roast chicken, he smiled. Just want it to be memorable. She grabbed her laptop bag and keys. Don't wait on me. I might be at the office until 8. Got it. Meetings? She nodded. All afternoon. He nodded back. Be safe. She was already halfway out the door. He waited exactly 11 seconds, then opened the hidden camera feed on his tablet, watched as she drove 2 blocks, parked, and got into another car. Same one from the footage, same driver. This time she touched his face before she even sat down. Thomas muted the feed, set the tablet down. Then he turned up the heat slightly, just enough for the scent of rosemary chicken to bloom into the hallway. He adjusted a single photo frame on the mantel. It was their wedding photo. Carla's hand was wrapped around his arm, ring glinting. She looked into the lens like she believed in it. Maybe she had back then. He stepped back, eyed the symmetry of the room. Perfect. By 4:40 p.m., the doorbell would ring. The footage was already queued, airdropped, synced to the living room TV. And by the time Carla's family sat down for that small dinner, the entree wouldn't be the only thing getting carved open. He heard the text ping as he was setting the wine glasses on the table. Busy in meetings. Love you. Timestamped 4:41 p.m. 2 minutes later, the doorbell rang. Right on time. Thomas wiped his hands on the kitchen towel and opened the door with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Her parents were dressed nicely, her mother holding a plastic container of some overly complicated dessert that probably required 7 different mixing bowls and a hand torch. Her sisters followed, one holding a bottle of wine, the other already mid-scroll on her phone. Oh, Thomas, her mom beamed, stepping inside. You didn't have to do all this. He took the dessert container and nodded graciously. Of course I did. Your family. That word, family, landed with a quiet weight. As they moved into the living room, he offered drinks. Her dad accepted scotch, neat. Her mom declined. On meds, she whispered. The sisters split a red blend. Everyone eased into their usual rhythms, her mother complimenting the throw pillows, her younger sister complaining about work, her older sister quietly watching the candles flicker like she suspected something but didn't know what. Thomas let the hum of small talk fill the room for a few minutes. He even laughed at a joke about gas prices. Then, as the room settled into a calm lull, he stood and cleared his throat gently. There's actually something I'd like to show you all before we eat, he said, holding up his phone casually. Something odd I saw earlier. Probably nothing, but I'd appreciate a second opinion. They all looked at him, mild curiosity, polite smiles. He tapped the screen. A second later, the living room TV lit up. A paused frame, the front door camera feed, clear, high definition. He pressed play. A man stepped confidently into the house, his house, wearing a gray jacket, the same man from before, same stride, same smirk, same sense of ownership, like he was picking up where he left off. Then Carla followed. She smiled, kissed him, took off her heels, laughed. No audio, but you didn't need it. Her mother's dessert container slipped in her lap. The lid popped off. No one noticed. Her younger sister stared at the screen, mouth slightly open. The older sister didn't blink. Then her mother raised a trembling hand to her lips and whispered, "Oh my God." Thomas didn't look at the screen. He'd memorized the footage already. He watched them. Her father was last to react. He leaned forward slowly, eyes narrowing, scotch glass forgotten. "Where is she?" he asked, voice low, tight. That man isn't her husband." Thomas let the footage play another few seconds, Carla twirling her hair, biting her lip. Then he tapped to pause it. The room sat in a thick chemical silence. "She's in meetings," Thomas said quietly. No one laughed. Her father stood up. "Thomas, what the hell is this?" "Exactly what it looks like," Thomas said, finally facing him. "I've got timestamps. There are 6 other videos, different days, different outfits, same guy." "But she said she was in Chicago," her mother murmured. "She said a lot of things." The younger sister looked down at her wine and just whispered, "Jesus." The older one finally spoke. "How long have you known?" "Long enough." "And you just invited us here to watch it?" Thomas looked at her, dead calm. "I thought you deserved to see what I saw. You've all known me for 6 years, helped me build your deck, changed your tires, took your mom to every dental appointment when your dad was recovering from surgery. You've trusted me with your house keys." Her mother whimpered. "Thomas, this can't be right." "I wanted to believe that too," he said. "But that guy has better parking instincts than I do. Never once hit the curb." He let that one sit. Her father ran a hand over his face, pacing. "I trusted her. We all did." Thomas nodded. "Yeah, me too." He turned off the screen. The TV faded to black. Behind them, the rosemary chicken still sat warming in the oven. In the quiet, you could hear the faint hum of the fridge, a wine glass shifting on the coaster. No one moved. "She's not at the office, is she?" her father finally asked. Thomas just smiled thinly. "She's exactly where she wants to be." And for the first time since they entered the house, no one dared say another word. Her father's voice cracked as he asked again, more softly this time, "Thomas, what is this?" Thomas didn't flinch, didn't blink. His voice stayed even, almost quiet, like he was narrating a documentary about someone else's life. "I wanted you to see it before I did anything, so no one could say I was twisting it, or making it up, or overreacting." Her younger sister leaned forward, voice barely audible. "Is it real?" Thomas turned to her slowly. "The camera logs its own metadata, time, date, location. It's streamed through an encrypted server, all cloud synced. I even cross-referenced her calendar. She was at a conference that afternoon. I checked the hotel's event schedule. No such conference." He let that hang in the air. Her mother looked dazed, eyes flicking between the screen and the front door, as if Carla might suddenly walk in and claim it was all a prank. "She told me she was in Atlanta today," her mother mumbled, like a child repeating a bedtime story for comfort. "She said it was a women in tech luncheon, sent me a picture of the centerpieces." Thomas nodded. "She was in Atlanta 3 days ago. That picture's from then. Today, she never left the city. That man picked her up 4 blocks from here." The words landed like sandbags. Silence descended again, heavier this time. Her father looked like someone had drained the color from his face. He sat back down, slow and deliberate, as if his knees no longer trusted themselves. He rested his scotch on the coffee table without a coaster. Her mother didn't scold him. Her older sister stared into space, mouth slightly open. The younger one scrolled her phone like she might find an explanation hidden in her feed. She wouldn't. Her father finally spoke again. "I trusted her. We all did." Thomas let the weight of that sentence settle. He had thought about this moment for days, rehearsed it, played it in his mind from a dozen angles. But none of the versions he imagined felt like this. He didn't expect to feel so detached, like he was watching someone else's family get this news, like he was watching from the end of a long hallway, far away from the warmth, the noise, the betrayal. He should have felt satisfaction, vindication, maybe even anger. Instead, all he felt was this strange, steady stillness, the kind you feel before a storm hits, not during, before. Her father rubbed his temples. "Jesus, I gave that girl everything. We paid for her grad school, took out a second mortgage for her boutique startup. I introduced her to clients, Thomas." Her mother clutched the edge of the sofa like she might fall off. She always said you were too passive, too good. Said you wouldn't understand what she needed to feel alive." Thomas smiled faintly. "I understand now." Her older sister finally turned to him. "So what are you going to do?" He met her eyes. "Depends. How many lies does it take to turn a person into a stranger?" No one answered. He stood and walked to the mantel, pulled a folder from behind a photo frame. It was thin. Inside were the printed screenshots, neatly labeled. One for each visit, one for each kiss, one for each time-stamped betrayal. He set it on the coffee table. "I made copies," he said. "One for me, one for her, and now, One for you." Her mother didn't reach for it. Neither did her father. Her sisters looked at it like it was radioactive. "I'm not looking for your advice or permission," he added, finally turning to face them all. "I just wanted you to see who she really is before she tries to rewrite the story." Her father exhaled, shoulders slumped. "This family, we used to be so proud of her." Thomas nodded. "So was I." Then he walked toward the kitchen without another word, letting the oven chime in the background. The rosemary chicken was done. The scent filled the house. No one moved. No one was hungry anymore. The porch light was out for 2 weeks before anyone noticed. Not that Carla would have. She hadn't used the front door in months. Always came in through the garage, tossing her heels in the passenger seat and slamming the car door hard enough to rattle the windows. But her parents noticed. Her father drove by after church one Sunday and lingered out front, staring at the weeds sprouting between the flagstones. Thomas didn't wave from the window like he usually did. He just watched. The next morning her father called, voice cautious. "Everything all right over there?" Thomas was folding laundry, his laundry only. Carla's clothes hadn't made it into the basket in 3 weeks. "Things are changing," he said simply. There was a long pause. "Is she aware?" Thomas laughed once, quietly. "She's in meetings." He hung up before the silence got awkward. That was the beginning of what he would later refer to, in his mind, as the quiet severing. No screaming, no lawyers, no slammed doors or theatrical exits, just absence. He stopped checking in on her family group chat, stopped fixing the broken latch on the back gate, didn't refill the hummingbird feeder her mother loved. The little chores, the invisible threads that tied him to their world, he let them rot, and no one stitched them back. Carla never asked. She was busy with strategy offsites and Q3 expansions and unexpected travel. Every week a new trip, every trip a new lie. Sometimes she'd forward a hotel confirmation as if it were proof, unaware that Thomas had set alerts on her airline rewards account. She hadn't flown in 17 days. The car rides were local, and they were frequent. The camera facing the driveway picked up the other man's sedan twice the previous week, parked a block down, just out of view, except Thomas had installed a new camera on the mailbox post. Angle was perfect. He saved every clip, but still, he didn't confront her. Instead, he did something else. He prepared. He started moving accounts. Small things at first, subscriptions under his name transferred, his gym membership canceled, replaced by one closer to work, bank cards rerouted. One by one, the little digital strings that connected him to her life were snipped. She didn't notice when the grocery rewards number no longer worked, didn't ask why the Netflix profile labeled C's favorites vanished overnight. He moved into the guest bedroom with no announcement, folded his old flannel sheets and remade the bed like a guest in his own home. Carla never came looking for him, didn't question the absence, probably assumed he was giving her space. And then came the garage code. It was a Tuesday night. Carla had texted earlier. "Back late. Team dinner ran over. Love you." Complete with an emoji she hadn't used in months. At 10:27 p.m., headlights swept across the side window. Thomas muted the TV and watched from the staircase. Her car pulled in. She hit the garage opener. Nothing. She tried again. The overhead light flicked once, then nothing. Thomas had changed the code that afternoon. Not disabled the motor, just rewired it. A small, surgical disruption, enough to confuse her, to shift the ground beneath her feet without warning. She sat in the car for a full minute, probably wondering if the power had gone out, then got out, purse slung over her shoulder, and walked around to the front. He unlocked the door before she rang. She blinked at him, annoyed, windswept. "Garage isn't working." "I know," he said. "I changed the code." She blinked again. "Why?" He stepped aside to let her in. "Security reasons." "Since when?" "Since I stopped feeling safe." She turned to face him, suddenly alert. "What's that supposed to mean?" Thomas didn't answer, just closed the door behind her and walked into the kitchen. She stood in the entryway a little too long, uncertain for once. He poured himself a glass of water, didn't offer her one. And when she finally moved past him to go upstairs, he watched her back. Not because he wanted to, but because something in him was already preparing to forget the shape of her completely. There were no more shared meals after that. No more casual kisses. No more love you texts. There was silence, and for the first time it felt like peace. She stood at the front door holding the key like it was a dead mouse, jiggled it again, then harder, then both hands, like the lock was at fault, not her. She looked up and saw Thomas through the window, sitting calmly at the dining table, sipping coffee like it was any other Tuesday. She knocked, twice, then harder. He opened the door without a word and walked back to his seat. She followed him in, dropping her bag on the floor, hair windblown, heels scuffed. Not her usual put-together self. This version of Carla looked off-kilter, like someone who'd just realized the floor plan of the world had shifted and no one bothered to tell her. "Why isn't my key working?" she snapped. Thomas stirred his coffee once, set the spoon down with quiet precision. "I changed the locks." Her eyes narrowed. "You what?" He looked up. "You'll be staying with him now, I assume." A full second passed. "What the hell are you talking about?" He didn't raise his voice, didn't blink. "I have the footage, Carla, all of it. Front door, mailbox camera, back gate. You've been sloppy." She crossed her arms, defensive, aggressive, still trying to salvage the upper hand. "It was a mistake, a stupid mistake. It didn't mean anything." Thomas tilted his head. "Strange. It happened 6 times. Same man, same car, same lie." She was breathing harder now. You've been spying on me?" "No," he said calmly. "You just forgot you live in a house with surveillance that you agreed to install. You love telling your friends how secure it was." Her jaw clenched. "I was going to tell you. I didn't know how. I never raised my voice," he said, cutting her off. "I never broke anything. I never humiliated you. I paid the mortgage, made your coffee every morning, sat through your family's book club brunches even when I had food poisoning. I kept every single one of your secrets like they were mine. And you decided I wasn't enough." The room was suddenly too quiet. Even the fridge motor had the good sense to pause. She took a half step back. "Thomas." He stood, walked to the sideboard, picked up the folder. Black, sleek, no label, just a simple clasp. He opened it slowly and placed it in front of her on the table. She looked down, confused. The first page, a printout of the camera footage. Her and the man, time-stamped, labeled, clear. The second, another printout. A different day, different shirt, same embrace. Third page, a notarized statement with Thomas's signature. Her own signature from the lease agreement photocopied below. Fourth page, a lease termination notice, effective immediately, with a clause she never read when she signed. Her signature again, clear and bold. She started. He slid a pen across the table toward her. "You don't have to sign, but you should read the termination clause again, specifically the part about joint tenancy and breach of trust." She stared at the paper like it might bite. He continued. "The utilities are already in my name. Your gym membership has been deactivated. Your credit card, joint one, froze it yesterday. The one you got in your name only, that one's still active. You'll need it for the hotel." Carla looked up at him, panicked. "You're kicking me out?" "No," he said, leaning back in the chair. "You walked yourself out a long time ago. I'm just closing the door." She looked down at the footage again, her own face smiling, her own hand holding the other man's, the image of a version of herself she couldn't deny. Her hand trembled as she reached for the folder. "This is insane," she whispered. "No," he said, standing. "Insane would have been staying." She flinched. He turned toward the kitchen, then paused. "The guest room closet still has some of your things. I didn't touch them. I figured you might want to pack them yourself. I can be out for a couple of hours." She said nothing. Thomas walked out the door, coat in hand, keys jingling softly. As he stepped outside, the porch light flicked on automatically, motion sensor, just like always. But this time, it lit up Carla standing in the entryway, folder clutched in both hands like a weapon she didn't know how to use. For the first time in years, she had no idea where she was supposed to go next. They chose the cafe they always used for serious talks, a place with warm lighting and wicker chairs, where her family used to meet for birthday brunches and pre-holiday planning. The same place where 3 years earlier, her mother had pulled Thomas aside and whispered, "We're so lucky she found you. You really anchor her." Now they sat on the patio in October wind, coffee cooling in their cups, as if the chill in the air might blunt what they'd come to say. Carla wasn't there. She wasn't invited. Her father spoke first. "Thomas, we'd like to talk about what happened." Thomas nodded once. "Sure." Her mother leaned forward, hands folded like in prayer. "We all make mistakes, even big ones. Sometimes people, good people, lose their way." "She didn't lose her way," Thomas said flat. "She followed it, repeatedly." Her mother flinched. Her younger daughter stared at her phone screen. The older one watched the birds fighting over a bagel in the parking lot. "She's broken up," her father added. "She's been crying for days. She knows she messed up." Thomas raised an eyebrow. "I didn't hear that from her." She's afraid to call, her mother said. She thinks you hate her. I don't, Thomas replied. I don't feel enough to hate her. The sentence landed like a hammer wrapped in velvet. The father sighed and shook his head. We're not here to defend what she did. We just want to ask, is there a world where you'd consider counseling? A chance to rebuild? Why? Thomas asked, voice calm. So she can go to therapy between meetings with her boyfriend? Her mother gasped. She ended it. She told us. Thomas pulled a folded paper from his jacket, set it gently on the table. Another security clip still framed, dated yesterday. Her in his car, smiling. Her sisters looked away. Her father rubbed his temples. We didn't know. Thomas didn't reply. He just let the shame do its work. Her mother's voice was thinner now. You two were so good together. Maybe she just… This isn't about marriage anymore, Thomas said, interrupting. It's about self-respect, about who I am when no one's watching, and about how long I'm willing to live beside someone who lied to my face while asking for seconds at the dinner table. They sat in stunned silence. Her father looked up. Thomas, I'm sorry. He raised a hand. You didn't cheat. She did. But you all needed to see who she really is. And you did. I made sure of that. The older sister finally looked at him, eyes red but dry. Did you ever love her? I loved who I thought she was, he said. Turns out, I was loving a ghost. He stood, adjusted his coat, and took one last sip of lukewarm coffee. I've taken care of everything, he said. The house, the accounts, the paperwork, then added softer. She can go be someone else's mistake now. Her mother reached for his hand, but he had already turned. As he walked through the cafe doors and back into the wind, he passed a table of young couples laughing over brunch. One of them had his arm around a woman who looked at him like he mattered. Thomas didn't envy them. He didn't feel bitter. He just kept walking. Behind him, Carla's family sat in silence, surrounded by plates no one would eat and apologies that wouldn't be enough. They came to save a marriage. What they found was a man already gone. Carla moved into his condo the following week. It wasn't nearly as nice as the house she left behind, smaller, colder, sleek in a way that looked good on Instagram but felt sterile in person. No framed photos, no bookshelves, just chrome, glass, and that cheap success scent cologne every man in tech seemed to wear. He was charming until he wasn't. At first, she tried to reassert herself, cooked a few meals, left her skincare in the bathroom, tried to call it home, but he was always working, always texting, always heading out for a bit. She knew the signs, of course. She just pretended not to. 2 weeks in, he started turning his phone face down. 3 weeks, and her toiletries were in a drawer, not on the counter. 4 weeks, and he stopped coming home before midnight. When she finally asked if they were moving towards something, he blinked at her like she'd asked to move in with his mother. We're not that, are we? He said. She slept at a friend's place that night, and the next. She tried texting Thomas, no reply. She tried emailing him a vague apology, something about not being perfect and needing space to grow and hope we can talk sometime. It bounced back. Her email address was blocked. Then she got petty. She filed for a share of the assets, claiming joint contribution to the property, sentimental value, and a list of expenses that reeked of desperation. Thomas didn't even flinch. His lawyer responded 2 days later. The tone was professional, but the payload was surgical. All real estate, vehicles, investments, and accounts were transferred to a private trust over a year ago, the lawyer wrote. The trust is irrevocable. The sole beneficiary is Mr. Thomas G. Atwater. You signed the waiver during last year's tax filing under the provision labeled non-claimant party status on joint holdings. She remembered that form now. She'd signed it half watching a YouTube video, laughing about how seriously Thomas took tax season. He'd asked her twice, "Do you want to review it?" And she waved him off both times. God, you and your spreadsheets. Just tell me where to sign. She thought she was humoring him. He was preparing for war. She called her lawyer, screamed down the phone about marital rights and unfair surprise. The lawyer sighed. He's covered every base. The documents are ironclad. Even the asset traces are routed through corporate shells, all predated, clean. You're telling me I have nothing? She shouted. A pause. I'm telling you that you gave everything away. You just didn't realize it. The silence afterward wasn't dramatic. It was dull, like background radiation. She moved back in with her college friend Brielle, who lived in a 2-bedroom walk-up near the freeway. The walls were thin. The couch smelled like last year's incense. Carla curled up under a throw blanket she once bought for a guest room she no longer had. She scrolled her old photos, looking for proof that once, just once, someone loved her the way Thomas did. She found a shot from the honeymoon, Thomas holding her sandals on the beach. She had laughed at him then, called him overly sweet. He just smiled and carried them so she wouldn't burn her feet on the sand. Now she couldn't afford a pedicure. She wiped her eyes with the corner of the throw, smudging mascara into the pattern. Her phone buzzed, probably her mother again. She didn't check. There was no apology that would fix this, no therapy, no grand gesture, no dramatic run to the airport. He didn't leave angry, he left ready, and she was only now realizing what that meant. 3 months passed, not fast, not clean, not in the way people hope time will save them. These months were slow, thick with unpaid bills, broken routines, and long hours of nothing. Carla had tried to bounce back, tried to land on her feet with that same cocky grace she used to walk into meetings and command rooms, but there were no rooms left, no invitations, no second chances. Her ex-lover predictably faded. First it was too much going on, then it was not looking for anything serious, and finally, silence. She didn't even bother stalking his socials. She already knew what she'd find. A new girl, younger, low maintenance, probably none the wiser. She picked up extra hours at a boutique downtown, assistant manager, a fancy title for folding clothes and answering to a 25-year-old owner who thought synergy was a personality trait. She barely slept, ate like a ghost, lost weight in the wrong places. And then, one night, just past midnight, sitting on the edge of that godforsaken couch with chipped paint on the legs and a stain she could never scrub out, she did the one thing she hadn't done since it all came crashing down. She texted him. "I miss who we were. I was stupid. I'm sorry." Sent, delivered, read. She stared at the message for hours, refreshing the screen like some gambler at a broken slot machine. No response. Not that night, not the next day, not ever. But someone else did show up. A week later, there was a knock at the apartment door. She opened it, hair tied up, sleeves rolled, expecting a delivery or maybe Brielle's boyfriend. Instead, her father stood there, dressed like he hadn't slept, coat wrinkled, something in his eyes she hadn't seen since she was 15 and crashed the car. She stepped back wordlessly, and he entered. He didn't yell, didn't pace, didn't offer a lecture. He sat down slowly, hands folded in his lap, and looked at her the way a man looks at a painting that used to be worth something. "You know," he said quietly, "for a long time I thought Thomas was too quiet, too soft, thought he didn't push you enough, didn't challenge you. I even told your mother once, that man's spine is made of water." He exhaled long and hard. "I was wrong." She sat across from him, arms crossed, defensive, but he wasn't there to fight. "Now I realize," he said, voice cracking, "you never deserved him." That was it. He stood, looked at her one last time, and walked out. No hug, no goodbye. She didn't cry, not immediately. She just sat there in the silence, hands trembling, breath shallow. Her father's words echoed louder than any screaming match she'd ever had, because they were final, honest, no buffer, no hope of amends. She opened her phone again, almost by muscle memory, checked Thomas's message thread. Still no reply, just her last words hanging there. "I miss who we were." She clicked into her files. The old video, the one from the living room. The footage started. Her family gathered, Thomas standing calmly, the man entering, Carla laughing, her mother's hand covering her mouth, her sisters frozen, her father leaning forward, disbelief crawling up his spine. That moment, that precise second. The look on their faces as everything they thought they knew about her shattered. She rewound it, played it again, not out of masochism, out of hunger, like maybe if she studied their shock long enough, she could find a way back into their good graces. But the video always ended the same way. Thomas, face blank, voice calm, saying, "She's exactly where she wants to be," and walking out of the frame. He never raised his voice, never slammed a door, never once made her feel small, until he left, and she realized the softest goodbye is the one that never gives you the chance to answer back.